What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And tonight I want to give you guys a quick urgent market update as Bitcoin's dip is continuing and I'm unable to go live, but I didn't want to leave the CandleMafia completely in the dark, so I'm going to drop this quick market update as Bitcoin's dip continues, bringing us into the next support zone that we were looking at on yesterday's market update. Unfortunately, Bitcoin did decide to come down and visit these levels, so I want to break down where we're at right now, if we're going to hold this level of support, and if we lose it, how low can we go? Because there are some very, very important levels underneath us that we don't necessarily want to lose. And with money flow coming out on Market Cypher B, there is a possibility that we can see this push to the downside continue. So I'm going to break down all the levels, show some of the trades, let you guys know how I'm handling these market conditions. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. So guys, here we are on the Bitcoin chart. And as you can see, we have gotten that continuation to the downside coming into our next support zones on Bitcoin. But before I jump into those key levels and where we're bouncing at right now, kind of want to talk about how we got to where we are. And it all started with this range that we had forming up here. This is where me and the CandleMafia in the premium Discord were able to snipe a sweep of these highs up here and take that short position directly from the tippy top of that push up. And now that short trade is obviously in profit. And some of the things that we saw that gave us the idea that we could potentially see this pullback continue and push us into these next support zones, simply put, guys, was that money flows coming out on the 2 hour. And you guys know the money flow indicates the longer term trend within the context of that time frame. And you can see money flow was creeping out here throughout this entire range. We came up for one last push. Luckily, we didn't get stopped out of that short, and it wound up giving us that bigger push down that we were looking for. And on yesterday's market update, we were looking at some of these lower levels, pretty much exactly where we're sitting right now, where we have our next key levels of support. And you can see that we did wind up coming right into that previous value area high, a simple rotation of value. We had the value built up here. We wound up losing that range. And when that happens, we are simply going to look down towards those lower profiles where we have previous value in the market. And we look at that as a magnet for price, sucking price down towards that fair value. And we came down to tap our second key level of support where we were looking for longs in the premium Discord alongside the CandleMafia. So as you guys can see here, I am still holding this short position. I have taken multiple take profits on this trade. I'm still up $1,800 unrealized. And then we did take that nice little long position here earlier today, and that is now up $416. We'll see if this can play out a little bit more, and I'll talk to you guys about kind of where I would expect this to go if we get the continuation up. But I am going to be continuing to hold a portion of this short position for some specific reasons that I'll also go over in just a second. And if you guys want to trade over on Blowfin, we have a couple of days left here on our promotion where you'll have a chance to get a 15% cashback bonus up to $1,500, depending on how much you deposit, in the form of bonus trading funds. So you can look at it as a discount on your losses or just some extra cash in your account to take some risk-free trades. But if you're interested, link in the description down below. We got until November 29th before that deal ends. But jumping back over to the charts here, guys, we have now lost this key level, which is the value area high of the previous range. And if we get stuck under this value area high, guys, we are very likely, in my opinion, to come down to that POC, which obviously we've already come down and tapped. But we also have this golden pocket sitting here, so we could easily come into that golden pocket where we have another daily level of horizontal support sitting just below at about 89.9. And if we start losing that daily, guys, this is where I think the drop down to about $88,000 is going to be somewhat probable. And at this point, guys, I don't really have an issue coming down to this $88,000 level. I will be looking for longs here, just like we were looking for longs at this POC. And you can see we not only have that value area low, we also have the 786/anchored VWAP coming up through here as well. And just underneath that, we have another daily level of support sitting at about $87,347. Now, if we do wind up coming down and losing this value area low / daily level, again at $87,336, this is where we have a pretty big fall off in volume, potentially leading us down to this bigger golden pocket sitting at about $79,000. Obviously, $80,000 is going to be a big psychological level as well. Hopefully, we do not have to see that happen. Now, obviously, the short position that we took from the top here would wind up paying us out in a very big way if we did wind up losing these lows. But in my opinion, this would not be the best case for Bitcoin, because if we come down here, guys, we are starting to come down to some seriously important levels that I would just prefer not to see again, right? I would just rather come in here, put the low in at that value area low 786, and then continue up. But there is definitely a possibility if we lose this, we can see that bigger drop to the downside coming closer to that $80,000 level. And then once we start dancing with this level, guys, things get somewhat dangerous. Now, if you watch the live streams, you will know one of the big levels levels of support I am going to be looking at. Kind of that last level of support is going to be sitting at about $74,000 to retest the breakout of this volume profile or just regular range that we have here, with the high sitting at about 73,959, 74K, basically sitting right on that 786. And, if we do wind up seeing a bigger pullback here and we come into that golden pocket and we wind up hitting that 786, we really, really want to hold this, because if we start dropping down here, guys, this is not going to be looking good for Bitcoin, in my opinion, because we do not want to get accepted back into this lower profile. So that range high does start at 74K, confluent with the 786, and then that value area high is sitting at about 70,218. It is going to be a level you want to pay attention to, but we are still extremely far away from that. So, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We have a lot of support down here. Hopefully, we could just go ahead, like I said, and hold these levels of support that we're sitting at right now. And worst case scenario, best case scenario would be to come down to that value area low, where I will be looking for longs once again. But we are covered pretty nicely here on the trades now. So, if we continue up, we're in that long position. If it winds up coming down, my stop loss on this long position is at break even. So I'll just stop out at break even and we'll have that short continue to pay us out in a very, very big way. Now, why am I even open to seeing some lower prices come in, guys? Again, it all comes down to money flow. This money flow on the 3 hour is also starting to come to the downside. This would indicate that if we get that crossover into the red, we could potentially see that continuation of the trend to the downside, right? Whether we get stuck in this range right here and come down, or if we even get a bigger retracement, if this money flow does not start to shape up, I will be looking for shorts on the way up. Now, I don't know if we're going to get a move all the way up here, but one of the key levels I will be watching here, guys, is going to be the full golden pocket 786 retracement from the absolute high to the current low that we just made here at about 90,800. And if we are able to wiggle our way up here, guys, I will be looking at that golden pocket retracement, and between that 786 golden pocket with the value area low sitting right in the middle, this is going to be a big, big level to get above, because if we start rejecting here, it could just be a lower high for another continuation to the downside. However, if we get back in this volume profile and we start to flip that 786 in POC, this could indicate that we are somewhat out of the woods, and at that point, I would definitely be looking up towards that value area high at about 99.2 and potentially a break into all-time highs. But we have to play this level by level. With money flow coming out, things don't really look the best. And another thing that we've been looking at on the live streams recently, guys, are these higher time frame red dots. Red dot on the 6-day, 5-day red dot also printing, 4-day red dot printing, 3-day red dot is now confirmed. Now, although this isn't like a super, super bearish signal, especially in a bull market, they are signals that could give us a potential continuation down. You have to remember that a 30%, a 15%, a 20% pullback in the bull market is not unheard of. This is looked at as healthy. It's really once we start breaking down, below these previous range highs that I would start to get worried. But again, we have a ton of room before that winds up happening. So, I know it sounds like, oh my God, money flow is coming out, we're continuing down. Is the bull market over? Not in my opinion. We really have to come down here and break some of these much, much lower levels in order for me to really call for a bigger bearish move. But hey, if it hits us by surprise, we are short from the top. If we come down to some of these lower time frames, guys, you can see we did put some bullish divergences into this key level, which again was that POC golden pocket anchored VWAP. We put those lower lows in on price action with our higher lows on our momentum waves, giving us those bullish divergences for a potential push to the upside. So, short term, I'm hoping that maybe this long can continue to play out. But again, my stop loss is at break even. I'm being very careful with the long right now, just because with the way money flow looks from a binary perspective, market cipher B does look like it's calling for a bit more downside, but I do want to be covered in case hashtag bull market happens and we just absolutely rip up here. So that's my plan, guys. That is how I'm handling the markets right now, in a pretty cushy position here, short from the top. Hopefully we can keep that long. If that long does not play out, I get stopped out. We come down to the POC. I may look to re-enter on this zone potentially. However, if we really start losing this daily, that is where the next big zone I'd be looking at for big bounces is going to be at that value area low around $88,000. Now, I do want to hop over here to Ethereum really quickly with you guys. And you can see here, obviously, we were looking for Ethereum to break above this value area low, hold that value area low as support before getting a move into our POC, which you can see was tapped right here. And now we are starting to show some potential signs of a pullback on Ethereum with those higher highs on our price action and some kind of lower high here on the momentum waves, a potential bearish divergence on the daily. Again, in a bull market like this, I'm taking the higher time frame bearish signals with a little bit of a grain of salt, just like the higher time frame red dots that we looked at on Bitcoin. Even if we backtest this stuff, guys, I've done this on the live stream a bunch of times. You can see you come into those parabolic rises in the bull market. You see these 5-day red dots. You can see we had one right here. It did not end the bull market, but it did wind up giving us somewhat of a pullback. Looking at an 18% pullback on this one, and then we came up a little bit more. We got another one. This one was a little bit more aggressive at a 30% pullback. So again, they're not like, I wouldn't be looking at these as like bull market ending bearish signals, but potential pullback signals, which we do like to look at as opportunities when we are in a bull market. Same thing with this daily bearish divergence, right? You know, if we do wind up confirming this daily bear div, could it give us a little bit more of a spill to the downside? Potentially. Some of the key levels I will be looking at down below is going to be this tapped weekly naked point of control at about 31.79. And then if we lose that, you know, the real big level on Ethereum remains exactly the same. It's going to be that value area low at about $3,000. So as long as we could stay above that, I'm not too worried about Ethereum. And if we creep up here to some of the higher time frames as well, you can see that 3-day red dot is looking to print. That 2-day red dot is now printing as well. But again, you know, not end of the world scenario. It could just give us a little bit more of a pullback, which, to be quite honest with you guys, I would not hate to get in on some of these other altcoins before a potential bigger run on the alts. So guys, we'll see what happens here with Bitcoin. Like I said, I'm holding that long, I'm holding the short. We'll see if we can get a little bit more of a retracement, but we really don't want to lose that value area high. Now, I won't be on my regular streaming schedule for the rest of this week. I will be visiting family, but if anything crazy happens in the market, I will drop some updates for you guys via these pre-records. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and you have that notification bell set so you don't miss this analysis and you don't miss these calls before price actually moves. And with all that being said, that's all the time I got for today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Frankie Candles
Here
out.
we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, maxed out, put